Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I welcome you all to ISKCON Philadelphia's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are going to discuss from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 11. We are going to begin a new chapter. The chapter is entitled Calculation of Time from the Atom. Interesting, huh? Calculation of Time from the Atom. And we will be reading the first 4 verses, which is actually quite a lot. I won't be able to do enough justice to explain all 4 verses in the time that is allotted. Nevertheless, we will try to understand, get a gist of what these 4 verses are talking about. So let us start with there's a purport for the first one and also for the last one. Let's recite the last one together. So I'll just read the first 3 and the 4th one we will recite together. Text 1. Maitreya Uvacha Charamaha Sadvisheshanam Aneko Samyutah Sada Paramanuhu Sa Vigneyo Nrinam Aikya Brahmo Yataha. I'll just read it again. Maitreya Uvacha Charamaha Sadvisheshanam Aneko Samyutah Sada Paramanuhu Sa Vigneyo Nrinam Aikya Brahmo Yataha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The material manifestation's ultimate particle, which is indivisible and not formed into a body, is called the atom. It exists always as an invisible identity, even after the dissolution of all forms. The material body is but a combination of such atoms, but it is misunderstood by the common man. Okay? The material manifestation's ultimate particle, which is indivisible and not formed into a body, is called the atom. It exists always as an invisible identity, even after the dissolution of all forms. The material body is but a combination of such atoms, but it is misunderstood by the common man. Purport. The atomic description of the Srimad Bhagavatam is almost the same as the modern science of atomism. The description, okay? The description of atom as given in Srimad Bhagavatam is almost the same as described by modern science. And this is further described in the Paramanuvada of Kanada. So, there are 6 philosophies which are based on the Vedas. 6 philosophies. So, one of them is Kanada's philosophy. So, there you will find Paramanuvada. Paramanuvada means studying the atom. In modern science also, the atom is accepted as the ultimate indivisible particle of which the universe is composed. Srimad Bhagavatam is the full text of all descriptions of knowledge, including the theory of atomism. The atom is the minute, subtle form of eternal time. The atom is the minute, subtle form of eternal time. Next verse. Sata eva padarthasya svarupavasti tasya yat kaivalyam paramamahan avishesho nirantaraha. Again. Sata eva padarthasya svarupavasti tasya yat kaivalyam paramamahan avishesho nirantaraha. Translation. Atoms are the ultimate state of the manifest universe. When they stay in their own forms without forming different bodies, they are called the unlimited oneness. There are certainly different bodies in physical forms, but the atoms themselves form the complete manifestation. One more time. Atoms are the ultimate state of the manifest universe. When they stay in their own forms without forming different bodies, they are called the unlimited oneness. There are certainly different bodies in physical forms, but the atoms themselves form the complete manifestation. Next verse. Evam kalopyanumitaha saukshme sthaulye cha sattama samsthana bhuktya bhagavan avyakto vyakta bhug vibhu. Evam kalopyanumitaha saukshme sthaulye cha sattama samsthana bhuktya bhagavan avyakto vyakta bhug vibhu. Translation. One can estimate time by measuring the movement of the atomic combination of bodies. Hear it again. One can estimate time by measuring the movement of the atomic combination of bodies. Time is the potency of the Almighty Personality of Godhead Hari, who controls all physical movement, although he is not visible in the physical world. Time is the potency of the Almighty Personality of Godhead Hari, who controls all physical movement, although he is not visible in the physical world. So that brings us to the verse that everybody is going to recite. I will recite it 3 times and then you can take turns. Sakalaha paramanurvai yo bhungte paramanutam sato vishesha bhugyastu sakalah paramo mahan. Sakalah paramanurvai yo bhungte paramanutam sato vishesha bhugyastu sakalah paramo mahan. Sakalah paramanurvai yo bhungte paramanutam sato vishesha bhugyastu sakalah paramo mahan. Please chant.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Dandot Pranam. Sakala paramanurvayo bhungte paramanutam sato vishesha bhugyastu sakala paramo mahan. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Sakala Paramanurvai Yo bhukte paramanutam sato vishesha bhugyastu sakala paramamo mahan.
Hare Krishna. Sakalaha paramanurvai yo bhunakte paramanutam sato visesha bhuviyattu yastu sakalaha paramohan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sakala Paramanurvai Yobhungte Paramanutam Sato Vishesha Bhugyastu Sakala Paramo Mahan. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, go ahead.
Sakalaha paramanurvai yogam te paramanutam sato vishesu bhuvyastu sakala paramo mahan.
Thank you. So let's do word-to-word
Hare
translation. Oh, go ahead, Prabhuji. Bhakta
Thank you,
Devi.
Master. Thank you, Master. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sakala paramo paramanu vai yo bhukte paramanutam sato vishesha bhugyastu sakala paramo mahan.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Let's do the word-to-word translation just because we have so much to cover and I myself don't know how I'm going to do this, but depending on Krishna. Word-to-word translation. Saha, that. Kalaha, eternal time. Parama anuhu, atomic. Vai, certainly. Yaha, which. Bhunkte, passes through. Parama anutam, the space of an atom. Sataha, of the entire aggregate. Avishesha bhuk, passing through the non-dual exhibition. Yahatu, which. Saha, that. Kalaha, time. Paramaha, the supreme. Mahan, the great. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Atomic time is measured according to its covering a particular atomic space. That time which covers the unmanifest aggregate of atoms is called the great time. Atomic time is measured according to its covering a particular atomic space. The time taken to cover atomic space. That's called atomic time. That time which covers the unmanifest aggregate of atoms is called the great time. Purport. Time and space are two correlative terms. Time and space. Time is measured in terms of its covering a certain space of atoms. Standard time is calculated in terms of the movement of the sun. The time covered by the sun in passing over an atom is calculated as atomic time. Time covered by the sun in passing over an atom is calculated as atomic time. The greatest time of all covers the entire existence of the non-dual manifestation. All the planets rotate and cover space, and space is calculated in terms of atoms. Each planet has its particular orbit for rotating, in which it moves without deviation. And similarly, the sun has its orbit. The complete calculation of the time of creation, maintenance, and dissolution is measured in terms of the circulation of the total planetary systems until the end of creation. is known as the supreme Kala. The complete calculation of the time of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, measured in terms of the circulation of the total planetary systems until the end of creation, is known as supreme Kala. So, have you understood anything? Wow. Prabhuji is giving the formula, Acharya Prabhu. Thank you. The relation between time and space. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, I'll begin with offering prayers first. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So this is the 11th chapter of the 3rd canto. And in the previous chapter, we had seen the creation of, first of all, so prior to that, we saw Brahmaji's prayers after he got darshan of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu within his heart, and Brahmaji offered his prayers, and then the Lord assured him that he would be able to create, he would have all that Vedic knowledge in him. And then we saw how Brahmaji began creating. So there we saw there were 10 types of creation. 6 were actually Prakriti, right? From the Lord, actually, Prakriti's creations. Mahat, Ahankara, the sense objects, the senses, and then the mind controlling deities. That was, and then also there is Avidya. So in this way, first 6 creations happened by Prakriti. And then the next 3 are by Brahmaji, Prakritic creation and Vaikriti creation. So the next 3, first we saw the creation of plants, different types of plants, then different types of beasts, birds, and finally there is human beings, 3rd. These are the 3 types. And then there is the 10th. So first 6, then 3, and finally the 10th one is the demigods. So in that we saw it's a combination of both Prakriti as well as Vaikriti, Lord Brahmaji's creation as well as creation by Prakriti. By Prakriti means, of course, after time enters into Prakriti, being agitated, there is creation of the elements. Okay. And then finally, at the end of the chapter, we hear that now Maitreya Muni is going to describe the creation from Manu onwards. That means Manu's descendants, the various Manvantaras. What are the various creations that happen in various Manvantaras? That's what we hear at the end of the previous chapter. And all of a sudden, the new chapter begins with this verse. about time. This chapter is called Calculation of Time. So you may wonder, how did this time come into picture? We are talking about Manvantara. Then why did this time come into picture here? So the reason is, in order to explain the creation of the various descendants coming from Manu and the various Manvantaras, it is very important for us to understand time, because all these subsequent creations, they are within the limit of time. For example, for us to understand for how long is this Manvantara going to last, you have to understand time. So that is why we are studying about time here. And now, in order to understand this time, in the previous chapters, we heard Maitreya Muni explained, in a general way, he explained what is time. There are three qualities that are given of time: Guna Vyatikaraha, Avisheshaha, and Asimitaha. Guna Vyatikaraha means time is that which brings about imbalance in the modes. Before the Lord glanced on Prakriti, what was the state of Prakriti? Prakriti is called Avyakta at that state. Avyakta means where all the modes are in equilibrium. So when the modes are in equilibrium, there is no manifestation. There is no material manifestation. But when the Lord glanced on Prakriti, through that glance, he's sending time. Because of time, there is agitation in the modes or imbalance in the modes. The mode of goodness increases, or sometimes passion increases, sometimes ignorance. So there's an imbalance. So time is that which brings about imbalance in the modes. Avisheshaha means it doesn't have a particular swarupa, just like Brahman, you say nirvishesha. Like that, time is also like that, nirvishesha. And another quality of time is asimitaha. There is no, time itself has no limit. It doesn't have a form and it doesn't have a limit, unlimited, asimita. Now this much was said, but that is not sufficient. That much information about time is not sufficient for us to understand how this time is, what is the role of this time in creation? How is it actually bringing about this creation? So for that, now a more detailed explanation is given about time. In order to explain time properly, the smallest unit of time and the greatest unit of time are going to be defined. As I'm speaking, if at any time you are not following, if it's just going above your head, you can just stop me, okay? It's a very, very technical subject. It's very technical even for me, but I'm trying, okay? So if at any point, and I'll just try to present it as simply as possible, I will try. But if at any point you're not able to, anytime you're not able to understand, just, say something so I know you don't understand, because I don't see all of you. So just say something, unmute yourself and say something so I can stop. All right. So what am I saying here? That time, we're going to understand the smallest unit of time and the greatest unit of time. It's going to define. The smallest unit of time and the greatest unit of time are going to be defined for us to understand time better. Now, what is the smallest unit of time? We may think a second is the smallest unit, isn't it? But actually, second is also not the smallest unit. Smaller than a second is a millisecond, and there's a microsecond and nanosecond. It goes on. So second is not the smallest unit. The smallest unit of time is given by Srimad Bhagavatam here. In order to define this unit of time, the smallest as well as the greatest unit of time, the link between time and space is shown to us. What this first verse is explaining, if you look at the verse, this verse is here talking about atom. It's not talking about time. Why? Because this first verse is describing Paramanu. Paramanu means atom, matter. The smallest particle of matter is atom, which is indivisible. So the first verse of this 11th chapter is describing matter, the small atom, Paramanu. And then the second verse will describe, because we are covering 4 verses today. First verse is defining atom. Second verse is defining the greatest possible unit of matter. It's called Param Mahan. Okay. The first verse is describing the smallest unit of matter called atom. The second verse is defining the greatest unit of matter called Param Mahan. The third verse is showing us the link between, so the way we have the smallest and the greatest unit of matter, corresponding to the smallest unit of matter will be the smallest unit of time, and corresponding to the greatest unit of matter is the greatest unit of time. That means the link between space and time is shown. Okay? Then finally, the fourth verse is saying, what exactly is this smallest unit of time and what exactly is the greatest unit of time? What is its measurement? The time taken by the sun to cover the space which is occupied by one atom is called atomic time. The time taken by the sun to cover the distance or the space occupied by the smallest unit of matter, that is called atomic time. Then what is the greatest unit of time, Param Mahan time? The time taken by the sun or the time taken to cover the space of the greatest unit of matter. That is Param Mahan. The greatest unit of matter is Param Mahan. That is called the greatest unit of time. So did you get an idea of what these 4 verses are telling us about? This is just an overview. I'm just giving you ahead of time. I'm telling before going into the details, because I don't know how much time we may have to cover each one in detail, but I'm just telling you how the flow of these 4 verses is going to go. The first verse is describing what is atom. The smallest particle or the smallest unit of matter is atom. That is defined in the first verse. The second verse is describing what is the biggest unit of matter. It is called Param Mahan. What it is, we will see in detail. The details we will see. But I'm just telling you. Second verse is telling you the biggest, the greatest unit of matter is Param Mahan. The third verse is telling us the way you have the smallest and greatest units of matter, in the same way, you will have corresponding to the smallest unit of matter will be the smallest unit of time. And similarly, corresponding to the greatest unit of matter will be the greatest unit of time. And finally, the fourth verse is saying, what exactly is that measurement of the smallest unit and the greatest unit? What exactly is that measurement? So the time taken by the sun to cross or to cover the space occupied by one atom is called the smallest unit of time or atomic time. And the time taken by the sun to cross or cover the distance of, what is that distance? The greatest space, the greatest unit of matter. That is called the greatest unit of time. So what is the greatest unit of time in this creation?
Paramahan.
One lifetime of Brahmaji. The lifetime of Brahmaji is the greatest unit of time. That's also called Mahat Kala or Param Mahan time.
Paramahan.
So this is the overview of first 4 verses. Okay. So now we can look at each verse. Does anyone have any? I think the 4 verses is okay, right? Okay.
We need to have another class. Same thing.
We didn't even start today's class, Mataji. So now let's look at the verse itself. Are you able to see the screen, the blackboard?
Maitreya what? Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. First verse is saying, Maitreya uvacha charamah sadvisheshanam aneko samyutah sada paramanuh sa vigneyo nrinam aikyabhramo yataha. Let's look at the words. Charamaha. Charamaha means the final, the limit. That means there's nothing beyond that. That is charam. Like you said, charam sima, right? Charam means that's the ultimate. There's nothing beyond that. What is this? Sat. Sat means karya. Karya means effect. So just like, 1 second. I don't know if was I sharing the screen? No, right?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I am sharing. Okay. So this, let me make it bigger. I made it small. Can I make it big? Okay. Yeah. So charamaha means if you have an object, you divide it into 2. Now you take half of that and you divide it further into 2, like that. Finally, you come to that particle which cannot be divided any further. That means this is the smallest particle. It is indivisible. That is charama. Charama means there's nothing beyond that. That's the ultimate end. That is charama. Okay. Sat means karya. Karya, how do you understand karya? When we talk about creation, Prakriti, when it is agitated by the glance of the Lord, when Prakriti is agitated by the glance of the Lord, it becomes pradhana. So pradhana becomes the cause for Mahatattva. The thing that is coming from pradhana is, the first thing that comes from pradhana is Mahatattva. Now Mahatattva is the effect, pradhana is the cause. Mahatattva now produces ahankar. So now that Mahatattva, which was effect before, is now acting as a cause for ahankar. Ahankar is the effect of Mahat, but ahankar becomes the cause for the next thing which is going to be produced. So you understand, in creation, one element is acting both as the cause and effect. It is the effect of a previous cause, but it becomes the cause for the subsequent effect. With me? Everyone is following? Cause and effect. So Sat means the effect. That which is formed because of something else. Sat. So now, Charamaha Sat. Charamaha Sat Visheshanam. Visheshanam means limbs. Limbs. Okay? Like you have limbs, parts. What is being described here is this Paramanu. Paramanu means atom. We are seeing the qualities of this atom. Charamaha Sad Visheshanam Aneko Samyutaha Sada. Anekaha. Aneka means that which does not become, so there are many of these atoms, but this is the ultimate state. Neither is this the effect of something else, nor does this atom become transformed to become something else. You understand? This explanation of atom as given by modern scientists as atom is the ultimate indivisible particle, unit of matter, that definition is okay, that's correct. But the understanding of atom that the scientists have is not the same as the atom which is being described here, that we should understand. Because according to scientists, what is atom? Atom is, now later on, originally Dalton's atomic theory says that atom is the smallest unit, indivisible unit. But then later on they changed it saying that no, there are more inside. There is electrons, neutrons, and protons. And also they say two atoms come together to form molecules. For example, a water molecule. So it's a totally different substance. Water is a different substance. Hydrogen and oxygen atoms come together. They combine to form a completely different substance. So the understanding of the modern scientists about atom is not the same as the atom which is being described here. Here, when you say atom, it is the ultimate, smallest, indivisible particle, and asamyutaha. Asamyutaha means it does not come together. That means it does not combine with another. No. Atoms don't combine with each other, sticking with each other. That doesn't happen. Okay? Asamyutaha sada. Samyuta means to come together. Asamyuta means they don't stick with each other. They're always individual. They remain individual. There is never a point where they're actually, like joining with each other. They don't join with each other. They always eternally remain individual. Asamyutaha sada. Paramanu means atom. Savigneyo. So savigneyo means you should understand this atom as that which is charamaha sad visheshanam aneko samyutaha sada. That means which is the ultimate, indivisible, smallest particle of matter. And it is not the effect of anything. It is not formed as an effect of anything, nor is it the cause, right, of some other effect. That means it is not combining with other atoms to create some other entity. Anekaha. It doesn't mean there's only one atom. Why it is said in singular, charamaha, why it is said as singular is just like when you take a line. What is a line made up of? Dots, right? What is the ultimate unit of a line? If you ask, you will say in a singular, you will say it's a dot. So similarly, let me tell you the fourth line also, then it will become clear. Nrinam means human beings, people. Aikya Brahmo Yataha. Brahma means illusion. Aikya means one. So, to human beings, these atoms are actually another feature of this atom is it is invisible. Atom is not visible to us. You don't see atoms. But what do we see? We see so many bodies and so many objects. The various forms that we are seeing, that means these atoms give us an illusion of a form. Let's take me, for example. You're seeing me, you're seeing my face, right? What is it in reality? It is just these atoms placed together. But what are you seeing? You're not seeing the atoms, you're just seeing this face. You understand? But in reality, this face is not existing. What there is only these atoms are there everywhere. So, a very good way to understand this is, sometimes they make these formations, people, right? They come together, and I'll share one with you. They make these formations, and 1 second, let me just share it with you. Okay. Oh, why is the blackboard still coming? I don't want the blackboard. Okay, this one. You're seeing the flag of India? Are you seeing the flag of India? Somebody
Yes,
say
Mataji.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it looks like a flag, isn't it? But you know what it is actually? It's people. People who just are standing here on the field, on the ground, and they made this formation of the flag of India. So the way you're seeing my form is actually made of what? Actually, it's made of atoms only. Now you may say, oh, that means they're all joined together and they're forming another. No, it's exactly like these people. They're all individuals. They're just standing there. And their standing in a particular formation is giving us this illusion that it is a flag. But are you able to see the people here? No. What are you seeing? You're just seeing a flag. But in reality, what is it? Is that a flag in reality? It's not a flag. In reality, it is those people only. That is why it is said, this verse is saying that Nrinam Aikya Brahmo Yataha. Nrinam Aikya Brahmo Yataha. You're getting this Brahma, this illusion of Aikya, that there is one form there. In reality, that's just your Brahma. This flag is just a Brahma. There is no one form. Actually, it is only the atoms. So finally, you can also ask a question. So what is the proof? We are not able to see the atoms. We are only seeing the forms. On what basis are you saying that it is the atoms? What is the proof that actually it is the atoms only that is giving us this illusion? The proof is this form. If these people dispersed from their positions, if they all went away, will the people continue to exist or not? They will continue to live. They will be living their lives. The flag is not there anymore. The fact that you're seeing the flag means the people are here. So whatever forms that we are seeing in this material creation, all these forms are actually the proof of the presence of atoms. Okay, I think that much is sufficient for the first verse. because we have to cover the others also. So what we understood in this first verse is that the material manifestation's smallest particle, which is the last particle, there's nothing beyond that, right? There's nothing smaller than that. That is the last particle, which is not divisible any further, and also which is not the effect of any other object. It is not formed as an effect of something else. That is an atom. And this atom exists always as an indivisible unit. Okay? One more point is, in this verse, you'll see Visheshanam. Visheshanam means, I told you, limbs. Sometimes you see a form, not sometimes, whenever you see a form, the form also has limbs, isn't it? So when you see a form with limbs, that is also a proof of the atoms. Again, let me share another picture with you. See, this is another form. What are you seeing here? You're seeing an eagle. And you're seeing the limbs also. It has wings, it has a tail, it has a head. But is this an eagle in reality? No, it's just people, isn't it? It's people. But they're standing in such a way, in certain positions, that it's giving you the impression or the illusion of an eagle. Not only the eagle, but also you're seeing the various limbs. Visheshana means the limbs. So these are the characteristic features of atoms. Atoms themselves are invisible to us. They are the smallest particles of matter. But how do you know that they exist? When you see the various forms in this material creation, you understand, and these forms have their limbs also. This is only, these atoms create that illusion to us of various forms. But in reality, all that is existing is just these atoms. So this is an atom. The smallest unit of matter is atom. That was the first verse. Now, let's look at the second verse. So we saw the smallest unit of matter. Now let's look at the greatest unit of matter. Sata eva padarthasya swarupavasthitasya yat kaivalyam paramamahan avishesho nirantaraha. Sat, same again. Sat means effect. That which is formed as an effect. That means whatever material things you're seeing, they're coming as an effect of a previous cause. Sat eva padarthasya. Padartha means matter. Swarupa avasthitasya yat. Now, these atoms, when there is material creation, what are we seeing? We are seeing different forms. How are these different forms visible to us? Because of the arrangement of these atoms. Just arrangement, not that they're actually uniting with each other. No. Remember the example of that flag. Nobody is, becoming a homogeneous one. No. They are individually there. So these atoms are individually existing. That also tells us one more thing. When everything else is annihilated, what will remain? So when the form is, like I told you previously, when people leave their positions, the flag is not there anymore because people have dispersed. The people still exist, right? So similarly, when all forms in this creation are annihilated, at the beginning of creation, the elements are formed, and then creation progresses, various forms you see, right? First you get Mahat, then false ego, the senses, sense objects, mind, controlling deities. Then later on, the universes are formed with these elements. Then Brahmaji comes, and then so many bodies inside this universe are formed. So all these are various bodies, various forms. What are these bodies? Nothing but the arrangement of these atoms in particular formation. When this formation is finished, just like you take a piece of wood, that's one karya, one effect, right? Wood. When the wood is burnt completely, what will remain in the end? These atoms will remain. The wood is not existing anymore, but the atoms remain. That is the case with anything. This entire creation, after annihilation, so prior to pralaya, pralaya means once again going back into pradhana, and then pradhana going back to prakriti, and again entering to Karanodakshaya Vishnu. So before that pralaya, final devastation, complete devastation, there is a state when no forms are existing. That means Brahmaji's body is also destroyed, everything, no bodies, universes are not there. Even you won't see the elements also. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intent, nothing. It's just the state just before pradhana. So all these elements, mahat, ahankara, right? Senses, sense objects, they're all created in sequence, one after another. So at the time of annihilation, the grosser elements are going into the subtler, into the further subtler. And finally, this is called reverse annihilation, reverse creation. Annihilation is reverse creation. So finally, everything, the Mahat Tattva and everything will go back into Pradhana. But before entering into Pradhana, there is a state called Param Mahan. What is that state? There is no distinction. You don't see earth, water, fire, air, ether, but still there is matter. And that matter is in the form of atoms. And it is uniform. The way an atom, individual, the smallest particle is uniform, in the same way, this gigantic, the biggest size of matter. What is the form of that matter? There are no individual forms inside. And there are no individual forms, and also, why there are no individual forms? Because all you see inside that is just atom, 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 atom. All you see is only atom. It is uniform. But it's like you have the micro and macro. Atom is the micro form. Param Mahan is the macro form. Just before Pralaya, you won't find any, distinctions, variations of bodies in that. It's all uniform. So therefore, here we will see in the second verse, two words are used. Avisheshaha and Nirantaraha. Avisheshaha Nirantaraha. Let me go over this verse one more time. Sata eva padarthasya. So all the matter which is in the form of effect, yes, when it is present, swarupa avastitasya cha. Swarupa means in its original form. Original form means atomic form, right? Original form, but there is no distinction. There is no distinction, and it will all look like uniform oneness. You don't see distinction between this is one atom and this is another atom. You don't see that distinction at all at that state. You don't see any distinction. All are identical. It's all just atom, atom, atom. You don't see any distinction. It's just one. Wherever you see, you'll just see atom, like you can say. But this is matter. So that is Kaivalyam, right? It's oneness, uniform oneness. And that is called Param Mahan. And what is the characteristic of this Param Mahan? Avisheshaha Nirantaraha. Avisheshaha means within that Param Mahan, you don't see any distinction. You don't see this particle and this particle. And what is Nirantaraha? Nirantaraha means there is not this one Param Mahan and then there is another Param Mahan. Like you have one universe and another universe. It's not possible because this Param Mahan is after the annihilation of all the universes, all the elements also. There's only one Param Mahan, but it is still matter. It's just in that atomic state. So this is the greatest possible size of matter, Param Mahan. Okay, that's the second verse. So the first verse established the smallest possible size of matter, atom, Paramanu. The second verse established the greatest possible size of matter, which is called Parama Mahan, Param Mahan. Okay. Now what is the third verse telling us? Evam kalo pyanumitaha. Evam means in this way, kalo pyanumitaha. That means the way we have seen Paramanu and Parammahan, the way we have seen the atom, the smallest particle atom and the greatest matter, right? The greatest unit of matter called Parammahan, the way we have seen in case of matter, Paramanu and Parammahan, that means atom and the gigantic size of matter. Saukshme sthaulye cha sattama. Saukshme means sukshma, the most subtle, the smallest. Sthaulya means sthula, the grossest form, the subtlest form and the grossest form. Sattama. We have seen the existence of matter in its subtlest form and its grossest form, the biggest form. The way we have seen the subtlest and the grossest form of matter. So Sthaulya, Saukshma means the smallest, Sthaulya means the grossest, and Cha means everything in between. It is not that we only know that which is the smallest and that which is the biggest. In reality, we don't see the smallest and the biggest, do we? Can we see atoms? We don't see atoms. Can we see the Param Mahan? Are you able to see Virata Purusha? You cannot see, isn't it? So the smallest and the greatest are not seen, but we understand. We understand. Even though we don't see, we understand their existence. How? Just like we understand, there is a heart in my body. I don't see the heart, but I know it is functioning. That's why I'm breathing and I'm living, isn't it? Similarly, I have a digestive system, right? I have intestines and a stomach, etc. I don't see them, but I know they are there. Like that, we understand the smallest atom is there and the greatest Param Mahan is there. We understand, although we don't see. But what do we see? All the forms in between the smallest and the greatest. This is called Madhyama Akar. Madhyama Akar means the middle size. Everything that is there, that is the middle size. The important point here is the way you have the smallest size and the biggest size and the middle size in matter, in the same way, you will have also time, which is in the smallest unit of time, the greatest unit of time. And there's also time for every specific size of matter, there will be time. How? Samsthana. Samsthana means all different sizes, small, big, and everything in between. Samsthana includes all these. When you say samsthana means all material objects, material things, all matter from the smallest to the greatest and everything in between. That is called samsthana. Bhuktya means to pervade. Who is pervading? Time pervades all objects. Time pervades every object, the smallest, the middle, and the greatest. How is time pervading everything? It is explained, Bhagavan. Bhagavan, Samsthana Bhuktya Bhagavan. Actually, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord as Paramatma, he's present in everything or not? So the Supreme Lord, he pervades every object. And by pervading that object, he limits it. You have a cup, right? That cup can be filled with water. How are you able to fill it with water? Because it has some dimensions, it is limited, isn't it? Similarly, you have a bottle. The bottle can be filled with water because it has some dimensions. It is limited. So the Lord is pervading every object that is there in this entire creation. How is he pervading it? By pervading every object, he is making that object limited. What is this kala or time? Time is the energy of the Lord. Time is the energy of the Lord. Being the energy of the Lord, when the Lord pervades every object, along with him, time is also pervading everything. You're with me? I hope. The way the Lord is pervading every object, being his energy, time, which is with the Lord, is also pervading every object. So bhuktya means pervade. Avyakto avyakta bhuk vibhu. So the Lord is avyakta. He is not manifest. Vyakta vibhu, vyakta bhuk. Being unmanifest, he is pervading all the manifest objects. He is unmanifested. He is not manifest himself, but he is pervading all the manifest objects. He is expert in creation in this way. Vibhu means one who is expert in creation. So this verse is telling us the link between matter and time. Okay? The way you have the smallest and the greatest unit of matter, in the same way you have the smallest, not just smallest, greatest, and in between also. In the same way you have the smallest and greatest and in between units of time. How do you measure time? Time is measured just like you have a cup, the cup has water. Yes, how much water does a cup hold? 8 ounces. And then you have a bottle which holds 1 liter of water. Okay, 1 liter. It's water in both. The small one is also, the cup is also holding water, the bottle is also holding water. But the quantity of water is different in the two. Why? Because the dimensions are different. The cup's dimension is smaller, whereas the dimensions of the bottle are greater, or actually it's the middle size. Similarly, time pervades all objects. The smaller objects, in the smaller objects, lesser time is pervading. In the bigger objects, more time is pervading. That's about the third verse, because we're almost there now. It's almost 9 o'clock. The last verse is saying, this is very simple. Sakalaha paramanurvai yo bhungte paramanutam sato vishesha bhukyastu sakalah paramo mahan. So this verse is telling us, so the previous verse established the link between time and matter, time and space. This verse is telling us what is that smallest unit of time and what is that greatest unit of time. The time taken to cover the space of Paramanu is called Paramanutam. It is the time of Paramanu time or atomic time. The time taken to cover the space of one atom is called atomic time. And the time taken to cover the greatest space. What is the greatest space? Param Mahan. So that time is called Param Mahan time. There is a lot of commentary given by our acharyas, different acharyas on these 4 verses. I just gave you a very superficial understanding, but if you are interested, you can go deeper into this subject and understand much more. So I'm going to stop here. It's past 9 o'clock already. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Did I confuse you all? Did you get anything at all from this? I mean, if I can hear 1 or 2 statements of what you're going to take home after today's class, right? Whatever you have been able to understand, if you can tell me 1 or 2 statements.
amazing class, Mataji. You know what I understood with my small brain, of course, I just got connected with that when we talk about soul and body, the separation of those two things. I felt that we are not obviously body when you talk about atoms, when you were giving examples, and it's like we are just atoms. I face, the example of the face. And at that point, I actually seriously I just felt, that whenever we talk about soul and body separation, we are not body, we are soul. I just felt that that atom, we are just a piece, the particles, and we are just combination of five tattvas, and it will be destroyed, and then the soul is the reality. So, but definitely, you really explained it so well about the science which we read, in our childhood. So, but thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Kishori Mataji. So thank you. I appreciate that. So she could understand that we are different from this matter. Acharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I wanted to say that time is a very difficult topic and difficult thing to understand. And often we just leave it at, well, Kalosmita, time is Krishna. But specifically the example you gave about comparing time like a line in 2 dimensions is actually made up of an infinite number of one-dimensional points or dots, I think you said, along the way. I found that really like one of the more enlightening things about time that I've, heard described in a long time. I feel like it really, changed and sort of lifted up my understanding of time a little bit just from that example. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you all. Does anyone have any other insights or anything else you would like to share about what we discussed today?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
Very nice class. You explained everything actually. Maybe there is more depth to it, I don't know. But I understood a little bit about time, how that atom, small time covers the atom, and the Maha, I think you said Maha something.
Param Mahan, also called Mahakala or Mahatkala. Yeah.
It covers the greatest matter. So this I understood, I think.
Yeah. So the smallest unit of matter is Paramanu and the greatest unit of matter is Param Mahan. And the smallest unit of time is atomic time and the greatest unit of time is Param Mahan time or Mahakala. Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Nice.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. If there's no other points, we can end here. I thank you all so much for your kind participation and your patience. It's a difficult topic, but thank you. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव